called interlocutory appeals, which means appeals within the trial. And sometimes those will be happening while the case is still going, or sometimes those decisions are so important they'll pause the case to get the decision on the appeal. So what happens is appellate court is so different because appellate court doesn't work like regular court. Appellate court works off, you submit an appeal, right? And after the appeal, you submit these briefs. The ops or the government submit their responses. You submit another response to them. Sometimes they do a counter, and then the judge mulls over everything. Usually they don't make a decision. They usually say, we're going to set a date that y'all could argue it, 20 minutes each orally. After that, I'm going to take 2 weeks. I'm going to decide. So usually people get different lawyers for that. So appellate court, sometimes you get different lawyers. I believe Alexander Shapiro is, I was going to play this, was, I think she was working on the, appellate lawyer. Highly experienced appellate lawyer. So when Diddy was trying to get out of jail, remember Diddy quit on doing that. He basically consolidated his team and said, fuck it, let's just go to trial. But his appellate lawyers, he didn't just dismiss them because we're not in appellate court now. We're in main court. But the reason why he's keeping on Alexander Shapiro on his main team, remember, he has 8 lawyers, right? Brian Steele, Mark Agnifilio, Tenny Garagos, Alexander Shapiro, she comes from the appellate side. Number one, she's a woman, which is a good look. Number two, if there needs to be an appeal. So what happens in court, and this is, again, I'm giving out some basic things that we could understand what we're about to see. If in court, let's say, I don't know, it's a very, they're about to allow questioning along the lines of, I don't know, Diddy doing something that was uncharged, or Diddy doing something to somebody who's not a victim. A lot of times what will happen is you'll hear objection, which means, hey, based on what we talked about in pretrial, this should not be allowed in the trial. Now, an objection in a trial is very important. It's what's called creating a record. So you have to create. So when a defense attorney objects, they put a note on the record that they had a problem with something. That is very necessary if you ever want to appeal. For example, with Tory Lanez didn't object to certain things, and because of his lack of objection, that is weighed differently when he wanted to appeal. So you need somebody to make sure the prosecutor doesn't fuck you over and just takes advantage of you. So having an appellate lawyer in there, I'm pretty sure she's going to be there to say, hey, object to this, because if we lose this argument or lose whatever, I need that objection on the record to appeal, okay? And by the way, so the objection is called preserving the record. Now everything is recorded, but when you object, you preserve that record of what you objected to. And when they look at that in the sense of an appeal, that's how they kind of like, all right, well, you objected to this, the judge overruled it, but you want a second look at it. Okay, let's look at it. If you never objected, sometimes they won't look at it, all right? So this person is, and by the way, and interestingly enough, this person also worked for Sam Bankman-Fried. Remember when I told you Diddy was in the jail with not only 6ix9ine, but as well with Sam Bankman-Fried. So Diddy, Sam Bankman-Fried, that's the FBF guy, and Diddy were all in the same jail. Do you think it's coincidental that Diddy basically hires his attorney? Now, granted, all these rich, famous guys share attorneys, but he hired his attorney, and I'm wondering if that's probably because of jail talk. Like, yo, who you got for your case? Oh, okay, I need somebody. All right, bet, let's hire her, okay? So she is on that case. She's an appellate lawyer, okay? Remember, appellate lawyer. So if you ask me, what's her role going to be? Her role is not going to be doing too much of main court shit. She's going to be sitting back, listening to everything, watching for everything. This is a contingency type of situation. If Diddy loses, appeals are going out right away. That's her job. Sit there, figure out everything that's being wronged in the case that you could use for Diddy. That's number one. Number two, raise these objections, or have Mark or Tenny or Brian Steele raise these objections. Will she be cross examining people? Nah, I don't think so. Will she be doing opening, closing statements? Nah, I don't think so. But she's there to make sure if Diddy blows trial, she's one of the best appellate lawyers in the land. She's going to make sure that he has a case, at least in appellate court. Cool. Let's get back to it, chat. By the way, I'm sorry if you guys have never watched me. I know y'all watch me destroy these motherfuckers on rants. Y'all watch me when I'm doing my comedy shit. Y'all watch me in a lot of different phases. This is the phase where Ak locks in. I'm going to give you a lot of details. I'm usually really heavy detail filled. Sometimes you might be like, Ak, we know this. There's somebody in the stream that don't know it. I'm trying to break all this legalese down to the regular person. And we don't have cameras, so we're trying to get the best understanding we can, okay? And sometimes this court stuff could be confusing. I feel like I've put the work in to try to understand it, to break it down to y'all, okay? Hopefully you guys appreciate. I see people spamming on. Okay. So now you guys are getting the cast of characters. We got Brian Steele. Looks like he's the third, okay? This is the big three. This is the big three. We got Mark, Tenney, Brian Steele. That's the big three. Alexandra Shapiro, she's an appellate lawyer. She's going to still be in there, but we don't expect her to do much other than prepare for any appeals. Okay? Okay, the first step is going to be to preemptive challenges to 45 prospective jurors. Okay, 8:53, Sean Combs is now in the courtroom. By the way, they're on time. This is federal court. One thing about federal court, they have a reputation for going fast. They have a reputation for essentially when deadlines are set, we're going to do it when we say it. They move like this. They do get a bunch of cases. Obviously, it's a federal court that serves the entire 50 states and territories of the United States. They're not going to drag out cases for years or whatever. They're usually, when they say they are ready for a trial, they're ready for trial, okay? And judges are less forgiving in giving you more time, especially if you're not working on a plea or there aren't other extenuating circumstances. So it's like this. So we're even realizing Diddy gets to court 8:53. Let's get it going on, right? What is he wearing? He's wearing a light sweater instead of last week's dark blue. That also might be kind of, if we think about just optics-wise, wearing lighter colors, seeming more, you got to make this guy not seem like a demon. He's going to be described as a demon and a monster his whole trial. Wearing light colors, that might be some psychology right there. Last week, before the jury was seated, he showed up in darker colors. Now he's showing up in lighter colors. That might be, again, I know this might sound like really trivial. It might be like, well, nah, nobody think. Yes, Diddy's paying tens of millions of dollars. I'm pretty sure they're thinking about everything, including his outfit, okay? So now he's showing up in a light sweater instead of last week's dark blue. He turns and blows a kiss to his family and members in the second row of the gallery, okay? 8:56, the clerk basically is going to confirm everybody's good before the judge walks in, and that's where we're going to go. The clerk says, everybody ready? Everybody's ready? This is game day. Clerk says, Mr. Combs, were you able to get some water? We'll make arrangements for this, okay? The judge still hasn't come in. 9:03, Agnifilio and Tenney, they're going over papers. This is game day. First day. This is game one of the NBA Finals. This is the Super Bowl. You can't fuck up. They're going over papers. By the way, the mere fact that we keep hearing about Agnifilio and Tenney, their strategy, even before Brian Steele was hired, them going into it, they're 1-2 in this shit. Yo, look at this. Make sure you remember this. This is what we're going to do on cross. Hey, remember they were probably spending the entire weekend going over. They probably had investigators out the go over all 43 people's criminal history, everything history, scour their social media to see who are we going to sit on his jury. Combs, Diddy. He's wearing reading glasses. He's also looking down at papers. You got to be involved in your own trial unless you just want to get sent up the river, right? 3 of the 6 prosecutors are looking at or typing on their cell phones. So the prosecutors are chilling. They're like, yo, we about to send this bum-ass nigga Diddy to jail, okay? They're cooling. 9:26. Combs' lawyer, Agnifilio, and prosecutor, Maureen Comer, are the only ones in with Judge Summarian, presumably doing the preemptive strikes to the jury pool, okay? In New York State Court, this is all done in public, in a courtroom, on the record. Wait for announcement of jurors. Okay, so it looks like they may have done it in private, but this, inner city press is saying in state court, usually this is done in public. So at 9:34, we're off. Judge says, good morning. We're here for preemptive challenges. Okay, or there was a part that was done in private, I guess, because they're doing some of this on public. AUSA Comey says, we strike juror 51. Agnifilio says, we strike 52 and 106. Comey says, we strike 216. Agnifilio says, 157 and 112. Comey says, we strike 118. Agnifilio says, we strike 127, 131. See, so they're basically just chopping them down. Comey says we strike 81. Agnifilo says 149 and 20. Comey says we strike 160. By the way, the preemptive strikes, you don't have to give the reasons, right? Before, the judge kind of had to do this with cause, like, hey, well, why don't you want them to go into the next round? You make your point, and then they might be like, the judge might be like, hey, could you be fair? And if the person said yes, they would pass them on to the last round. This last round is where you could just, you don't got to give no explanation. Get the fuck off of the jury, you know? But the other side could do it as well. Okay. Comey says the defense was only supposed to strike one this round. Okay. Agnifilo says, okay. So apparently there's a structure. Hey, this round you can strike two. This round you can strike one. This round, and they're gonna whittle down till they get to 18. And whoever's not strike, that's the jury, right? So Comey, which is the daughter again of James Comey, which is a former FBI director, and her name is Maureen Comey. She brings up a point and says, hey, wait, breaking the rules. Agnifilo was only supposed to strike one. He's trying to strike two, which is 22 and 84. And Mark makes a decision to only strike 22. Then Comey says we strike 163. Then Agnifilo in the next round uses the 84 that he was trying to strike in the same round. Comey says we strike 220. Agnifilo says we strike 25. Comey says I believe he was supposed to strike in the alternate. Agnifilo said, okay, so I guess they have like a situation where there's possible people for alternates and possible people for the pool. Agnifilo waits for a second, confers with Nicole Westmoreland. Okay, now this got to be like a lawyer that probably was involved, or a jury specialist lawyer. Let's see. Sean Diddy adds another woman, which is a black woman, to his case. Her name is. It says Sean Diddy has added a team to his high-powered lawyers, a black woman attorney who in 2009 sued a well-known member of the hip-hop community after surviving sexual assault. Nicole Westmoreland, who runs her own firm, joined the rap mogul's defense team this week with a notice of attorney appearance landed in the case docket as jury selection went on the way. Her sole job is probably, as someone who has survived sexual assault, this and third, probably she could notice a few things about the jury pool, help advise them as who they should strike, who not to. Don't know what she's on for the whole case, but we don't know what her involvement is going to be. But we do get her name brought up because she seems important with Agnifilo figuring out who to get off the list next. So she looked like she had some research done. So they then strike, they strike 218. Comey strikes 324. Agnifilo strikes 240. Comey strikes 281. Agnifilo says one moment. And then he says, I note that the government has struck 7 black people out of 9 strikes. Ooh. By the way, I know you might be like, why they're saying this? Everything said here is on the record. Everything is on the record. Remember what I said with objections, you preserve the record. But everything said in open court is on the record. He knows the press is going to hear this. He knows that they're not only fighting the biggest fight is the judicial court, but you're also fighting a court of public opinion. This is a great piece for media to grab. 6 white women that are prosecuting a black man struck 7 black people out of 9. So the white women don't want to see no black people on his goddamn case as jurors, right? And again, that plays good for the narrative. Again, at the end of the day, we're past the point of public court or the court of public opinion. It's all about what's going to be decided. But he made sure to note that, and he's noted on the record. Okay, cool. Agnifilo says, by the way, judge says, I'll give you a chance to raise that, but let's continue. Okay. By the way, the reason why he's also bringing that up, remember, you got your appellate lawyer there, right? That could be a conversation about maybe some type of prejudice in how the prosecutor is conducting this whole, trial, or their attempt to conduct the trial. If they're trying to make sure a black man getting tried by supposedly his peers, none of the peers is black. Okay. Think about it, right? So cool. The judge says, I'll give you a chance to raise that, but let's continue. Agnifilo says, all right, cool. We're striking 307. Summarian says our jurors are going to be 2, 5, 25, 28, 55, 58, 75, 116, 160, 184, 201, 217, 230, 234, 247, 292, 321, and 330. By the way, let me just tweet this out real quick for anybody who's on X. I got to stop using my X to be for bum ass bitches and actually hold on, let me see. Wait, X. I'm trying to tweet out our link. All right, chat. By the way, I want to know what y'all think. One of our second highest live stream. Actually, I think third, because we did have 60,000 people in here when we were reading pretty much the verdict for 6ix9ine. And we were going over his case. Biggest streams ever for me. Tory Lanez verdict, 72,000 people were watching while we did that. The number one obviously is Drake and Kendrick. I think I had like several 100,000. Like, we shouldn't even count that. But other than that, it's always been court shit. So we had Tory at number 2, 6ix9ine at number 3. I really think this is going to be toppling Tory. So I think by the time we get to a verdict, and we're going to have like probably 100,000 people up in here. This shit is not televised. So, again, just lock in with me. We're going to make sure we get you all the shit. Let me just tweet out this fucking link. Where y'all at right now? Y'all at work? Y'all chilling? Oh, okay, I tweeted out. Perfect. All right, we're back to it. So cool. So we kind of got like this list of what is going on. And it says, all right, so Akademiks says the U.S. struck 7 black people, which amounts to a pattern. The judge says an application has been made under Batson. Ms. Comey, now the white woman who's the daughter of former FBI director James Comey, he says, no, we're neutral. She says we're neutral. So she's saying, no, we're not racist, right? An application has been made under Batson. Let's Google what that is. We gotta understand everything that's going on. Batson, I guess Batson versus Kentucky. That's probably a court case. Yep. Batson versus Kentucky. Let's see what this is. Oh, yeah. In a landmark case, Batson versus Kentucky, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in 1986 that a prosecutor cannot use preemptive challenges to exclude potential jurors solely based on race. Woo! Hey, Submarinian. He's on his shit as a judge. Obviously, this is your job. This is your life's work. When you get anointed or appointed as U.S. district judge, you serve for life. He's on his shit. He knows exactly what court case this would refer to, or a historic court case that went to the Supreme Court. So Batson versus Kentucky was a case that the Supreme Court listened to, and they ruled in 1986, if you as a prosecutor try to use your preemptive challenges in a racial way to get out all the black people, all the Mexicans, whatever, that is wrong. Okay? And by the way, it challenged the removal of these jurors. Basically saying it created an impartial rule. By the way, here's the reason. In the 72 decision, the Supreme Court held that while a defendant is not entitled to have a jury completely or partially composed of his own race, the state, and by the way, the Supreme Court was operating, remember the Supreme Court is the highest court of all the land. Even state courts get to the Supreme Court. So if you have a state case, it goes to your state Supreme Court. And if the state Supreme Court rules, you could possibly bring it to the actual Supreme Court of the United States. By the way, there's 50 Supreme Courts. Each state has their own state Supreme Court, but there's one Supreme Court of the entire land. When the Supreme Court of the United States rules on anything, that's usually precedence. Not only that affects everything in federal court, because obviously it's a federal body, but it affects state court too, and people and also attorneys usually refer to that case in when they're trying to do whatever. So this case, 1986, Kentucky versus Batson versus Kentucky. It looks like the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in a 72 decision, hey, the state is not permitted to use its preemptory challenges, right? And this is how jury selection went. We went over this. We have couple of different rounds until they will it down to usually 12 jurors and then maybe 4 or sometimes in this case 6 alternates, right? They're saying the preemptory challenges can't be automatically used to exclude potential members just because of their race. The Equal Protection Clause guarantees the defendant that the state will not exclude members of his race from the jury on account of race or false assumption that members of his race are not qualified to serve. So I think that's a great, and by the way, again, chat, this is going to be chess. It's showing you, number one, Diddy's lawyers are prepared. They wanted to raise this on the record. Whoa, hey, 7 out of 9 of the people that they have disqualified are black. What's up? Cool. They bring this on the record. So now it says an application has been made. So the judge is now saying, and this is where all the appellate stuff is going to come in, because now the judge is saying this is on the record. There is going to be further conversation about this, that if you get found guilty, this is a great thing to bring up on appeal. And also you could say that we did say this was not cool during the trial. The judge made a note of it. We're good. So Diddy's lawyers, Agnophilia, as much as I thought he was like kind of stupid, not really stupid, but because I know he's smart, but he said too much. He wasn't a good PR lawyer. He in court, he's doing his thing. Okay, he's doing his thing. Comey, she says, nah, we neutral. Okay, bet. Comey says, juror, so she's now trying to explain herself why she ain't racist. Juror 51 knew 17 of the names, appeared to have seen Making a Band, which is a show Diddy did, has a relative with law enforcement issues. The next strike, he harassed a police officer and didn't report it, had a sister, his sister had an issue, and this clears the bar. There are good reasons, okay? Juror 81, we think they claim to have special knowledge of bipolar. Okay, so she's explaining herself. He said it was inevitable. He'd lose 30% of his income, but won some. So we struck 163, I believe, for cause due to English proficiency, and he had a relative who shot at the police. Okay, so she's explaining why she eliminated all the black people, right? And Comey continues to say, he called the police assholes. We struck him in 281. She said victims can catch a case and jump on a bandwagon. We think she has an agenda. These easily clear the Batson bar. So on the record, the prosecutor in real time has defended why she has taken out 9 of the preemptive challenges that she's eliminated. 7 of them are black. She's saying it got nothing to do with race, but actually because of certain red flags we noticed from them. Judge Submaranian says, I deny. Okay, so it looked like that was almost damn near like a motion. Says, I deny the defense Batson challenge. Those were not based on purposeful discrimination. And by the way, here's the thing. There's pros and cons to all these jurors. It's kind of hard to prove this like Batson, standard, because yeah, I eliminated all the black people, but if I could say one thing bad about each black people that I eliminated, I'm not racist, y'all. So you're telling me all the white people. So I don't know how many black people were potential jurors, but you eliminated 7 out of 9 of them. Come on now. Anyway, whatever. The judge says, we'll bring the jury in a few minutes. Perfect. Here we go. So now 10:17, the jury is now seated. Judge Arun Subramanian says, welcome back. This is United States versus Sean Combs. We will be providing lunch for you in the jury room. We will not release your names to the public. The clerk now swears the jury in. Okay. The judge says questions are not evidence. Only answers given by the witnesses and documents are evidence. You can consider circumstantial evidence like someone walking in with a dripping umbrella. You could surmise it's raining outside even if you don't see it. The judge says that, by the way, this is instructions I was telling you was going to happen. That a witness uses a pseudonym doesn't mean that their testimony is any worthy of less weight. Why does this matter? There's going to be, on the record, some people are going by Jane Doe. So there are going to be certain people who are not going to be called by their real name. Cassie will be called Cassandra Ventura, but there's other people, they will be called Jane Doe. And it will be listed on the record and in transcripts. And I don't believe their real name will ever be used in court. It's trying to protect them and their supposed victims. Says, during the trial, do not read or view anything and listen to anything about a case. Don't post anything. Once the U.S. rests, the defense can present. So they're saying defense first, prosecutors or AUSAs first, then we're going to go to defense, should he choose to. By the way, not in all cases has defenses chosen to produce or provide a response. For example, the guy who killed young Dolph, Justin Johnson, straight shooter, whatever his name is, they had, as soon as the prosecutor finished doing their case, they rested. They said, we don't have a defense. There's no defense needed. We did our cross on their case. We don't want to put nothing else into the air. Of course, that nigga got found guilty. Okay. life. Anyway, so I think that's a bad strategy, but I'm giving my opinion, right? Let's stick with the facts. AUSA Johnson says, this is Sean Combs. So this is now, it appears, opening statements, because now we're finally hearing AUSA speak, right? This is the prosecutor. Now, interestingly enough, Maureen Comey, who's, again, daughter of James Comey, former FBI director, she's not going first. I thought with all the, she was really heavy in jury selection. So is Mark Agnifilio. I thought she was the lead. We heard she was the lead, but we're now hearing AUSA Johnson, which is somebody else. Let's look up that person. AUSA Johnson Diddy. By the way, it's important for us to get a look at these people. So this is Emily Johnson. AUSA Emily Johnson. AUSA Emily Johnson. This is the person who's speaking first, and this is her right here. Okay, so she's the one who's speaking first. And by the way, Maureen Comey, this is her right here. So this is James Comey's daughter. And then the other one, AUSA Emily Johnson, is her. So you see two of the 6 white women who are going to be doing their thing. All right. So let's go. It says, this is Sean Combs. To the public, he's a cultural icon, a businessman, larger than life. Sorry, let me make sure I can see it. This is Sean Combs. To the public, he's a cultural icon, or that, they say was. He was a cultural icon, businessman, larger than life. But there was another side to him. You will hear about the 20 years of defendant's crimes. He had a team to help him. Kidnapping, arson, drugs, sex crimes. Let's start with one night. By the way, there's going to be some typos. He's typing quickly, or somebody's typing quickly. Maybe it's AI. I don't know. He was on the hunt for his girlfriend, Cassie. He forced her to have sex with male escorts while he watched and recorded it. He found out Cassie was seeing another man. Furious, he set out to find Cassie and the other man. He woke up an employee, drove to his house, but no one was there. The defendant didn't give up. He kept looking for Cassie. When he found her, he beat her brutally, kicking her in the back and flinging her around like a rag doll. But that wasn't enough. He told Cassie he could release a video of her having sex with male escorts. He broke into a man's house and he beat and blackmailed his girlfriend. These are not his only crimes. Cassie's not the only one he beat and sexually exploited. 20 years of crime. He had a business, Bad Boy Records. That made him right. He relied on his bodyguards, chief of staffs. By the way, when you hear chiefs of staff, you know the person who they call is Ghislaine. That's the person named KK, which is Quran. I forgot what her name is. So his last chief of staff was Quran Diddy. Fuck, I'm fucking up the name. Yeah, see? Christina Karam, former chief of staff. By the way, if you remember her when Diddy was going through all this shit, she was pictured with him sitting on Star Island while he was looking dumb stressed. Here we go. And apparently she's like the Ghislaine Maxwell. She's been helping him out with a lot of shit. By the way, we've seen her. I don't know if she showed up to court, but yeah, remember when he was looking stressed right here? She was sitting right next to him, looking like she just woke up too. So I don't know if she giving him the pussy and she's just these chief of staff, whatever. But she looked like she's locked in with him, where she was, all right, Sean, let's get through this. But she looked like she's a loyal one for Diddy, and probably the one that if she ever turned on Diddy, it's raps, right? So this is another picture. Look like she's there. Look, Diddy look fucking stressed as a motherfucker. She's, you want a mimosa, you want a back rub, you want your balls tickled, whatever. You know what I mean? It is what it is, right? She's on her phone. Diddy was like, look, Diddy's in a fetal position. She's on her phone. She making sure shit happens. She got to help this motherfucker out, right? Again, it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay, bet. So we now hear that the prosecutors are saying chief of staffs have been involved in this, right? It says his bodyguards, chief of staffs, who all ran aspects of his life. The group promoted his power. Only his bodyguards kidnapped an employee and set a car on fire, dangled a person. They delivered drugs whenever he said, including to a woman he forced to have sex. They delivered drugs whenever he said, including to a woman he forced to have sex with, an escort. He transported them across state lines, even out of the country. Let me be very clear. This case is not about a celebrity's private sexual preferences. This was criminal. He coerced and even used violence. Along the trial, it will focus on 2 women, Cassie and Jane. Now, we all know Cassie. Her name is used. The other victim's name supposedly won't be used. Jane. Who is Jane? From what I've been told, lightly, I haven't gotten into it yet. We'll figure out who it is by basically what they're saying, because we are going to hear what they're saying or see what they're saying. We won't know who they are. I hear Jane Doe is either 1 or 2 people. Remember the girl Gina? the girl who basically went on Tasha K and said that he forced me to do like after the abortion, he put his hands on me. It's either her or remember the chef that sued Diddy long ago saying Diddy was jerking off or whatever when she came to serving food? Chef Diddy. Former chef for Diddy alleges longstanding abuse, blah, blah, blah. So this is either this person or it's Gina Diddy abuse. I remember she did the interview with Tasha K. Remember this woman?
Child was, and then he
so either one of them, that's Jane Doe. So we could probably surmise at this point, but we're jumping ahead of the gun. We're gonna find out shortly anyway. But that's witness, that's victim two. That's victim two. By the way, keep in mind, there's two strong victims. The other victims might not even show up to court. One of the victims, supposedly victim 5 or 4, won't be there at all because they said they can't contact that person no more. Some people feel like they may got paid off. Who knows? So the main witnesses, there's no Little Rod, no none of that shit, none of the people that Tony Busby got. We got Cassie and either this woman or the chef. We're going to figure out who Jane Doe is in a short bit. So let's keep it going, chat. Are y'all here with me? Y'all rocking? I got to do a little wellness check on y'all sometimes. Y'all good? We got 11,000 strong on King Akademiks right now. 5,000 strong on the Academy. We got 20,000 people up in here. Bright and early. First day. Okay. Let's get to it. So, it says, here we go. So, we're going to focus on 2 women. So, they're outlining their plan. We're going to focus on 2 women. Cassie and Jane. We will show that the defendant lied, used lies, drugs, threats of violence to force them to have sex with him in front of male escorts. He called them freak-offs, wild king nights, or hotel nights. His staff organized flights, cars, hotels. At his direction, his staff set up the rooms with lubricant and lighting. Ooh, lighting? What the fuck? What type of freak ass nigga shit is this? Chat, what type of lighting do you bring to the freak-off? What lighting do you bring to the freak-off? Now, we're going to see, by the way, remember we heard this whole thing about baby oil? I've always said, listen, not TMI, but come on, we all grown. Y'all have sex too. Baby oil is some cheap nigga lubricant, right? Like, I can't imagine a billionaire using baby oil as sex lubricant. That's some cheap shit, right? Just go get KY or something. So we're going to figure out what the fuck the baby oil was for. It could be for some performance thing. We're going to get to all the details. The only thing we won't see is the videos they're going to show in court. By the way, we haven't heard about necessarily how they're going to treat videos. If maybe they'll say, hey, this is a sensitive thing that showcases a victim being sexually assaulted. Let's clear the courtroom. Everybody get out of here except the jurors. The jurors are going to have to see everything. You know, jurors in cases, even when it's murder cases, you're going to have to see the body. Like, it is what it is if that's part of the evidence, right? They have a bunch of tapes where supposedly freak-offs. They're going to have to watch them. Will the gallery and press and everybody else be able to watch them? I don't know. That's going to be a matter of privacy, security, and everything else. Obviously, if you're trying to prosecute a criminal case and you claim these people are victims, you don't even want their name to be used. Granted, nobody, I don't think, will be stupid enough to record or try to sneak out a phone and record in federal court, but we've seen that type of dumb shit already. There was a video, 6ix9ine testifying. There was a video of 6ix9ine testifying, which should have never been allowed. This was 6ix9ine on the stand here, and people were very surprised that video ever came out. By the way, that after that video came out, the judge scolded everybody in the court, and there was a lot of other shit that came up. Anyway, let's get back to it. So cool. All right. So at the direction of his staff, they set up lubricant and lighting. The staff came in with cash to pay the escorts and drugs. Okay. He made them take MDMA or Molly and ecstasy, and it made them sick, but also sexually aroused. He directed every step. By the way, also, according to a lot of the criminal complaints, or the civil complaints, I should say, we heard a lot of allegations that there were, we heard a lot of allegations of the date rape drug. It's called Rufinol, right? Rufinol. Because remember, all the civil cases had this pattern. Oh yeah, I went there, I took one drink, I almost fell asleep, and I woke up and there's 5 niggas fucking me, right? Rufinol. I don't know how to spell it.
Searching for a reliable used hatchback? Shop the area's best selection of affordable vehicles at unbeatable prices. Want a vehicle with low mileage?
Oh yeah, this is how it's spelled. It's spelled Rufinol, right? It's a trademark name for whatever, but it's known colloquially as the date rape drug. So we're gonna find out if the prosecutors do have any type of proof that Diddy was using anything to drug women. Now, granted, we're not here to defend Diddy. We're only here to go over facts. What we have heard, even through maybe a few minutes of opening statements, did Diddy provide drugs? Yes. Was it the drugs that people expected? We don't know. Did he use something that was out of the ordinary to get somebody in an induced, sedated state that they could be taken advantage of? We haven't seen proof of that yet. However, there's about 80 complaints that claim they had a way to put it in the Ciroc, to put it in whatever. Again, we're at trial. The prosecutors can't come with theories. They got to come with what they could prove. So we're going to hear if we hear anything about date rape drug. So when you hear drug, you got to imagine it's the Molly, it's the fucking pink cocaine, whatever they be snorting and all that bullshit. I'm not hearing date rape drug yet, right? But we'll find out later. Okay, cool. So he expected the women to appear to enjoy themselves. That's very important that they're actually saying this. And by the way, I'm sorry I'm ad-libbing all of this, but we got to be very laborious. It's gonna we're reading tweets here. You know why I think they say that? Because there's gonna be a video where Cassie's probably squirting like a motherfucker, like laughing like it's going out of style, like she's having fun and she's having complete ecstasy while this freak off is happening, and she looks like she's into it. And that's why they're throwing this in early to say he expected them to appear to enjoy themselves. Because what they're going to say, despite whatever videos that will exist of these things happening, these women were not enjoying it. They were being abused. That's why I think they put that in. He masturbated and recorded the events. Cassie was 19 with a hit song. Says Cassie tried to work on her music, but a defendant made her turn down many opportunities. She recorded, but then he had the final say over the music she released. There was never another album. Sorry, hold on. He hit Cassie in the head and drug her by the hair. Now, that's clearly addressed in that 2016 video. We've all seen it. We're going to pull up a lot of old shit you guys have seen, but we want to make sure we're all staying on track. Cassie, Diddy, Hotel. This is the video they're clearly referencing.
Disturbing.
They're referencing now, which is this video right here. Hit her in the head, drug her, all that type of stuff. Right? By the way, trigger warning. I know, that Tory Lanez got stabbed. No. Wow. Okay. Let's deviate from that case for 1 second to handle this just because it's important. I'm not going to do this much often because I want to really lock in on his Diddy case. But apparently, Tory has been stabbed in jail. He said this isn't how Tory wanted to get out of prison, but he is. After suffering a prison yard stabbing so bad he needs hospital treatment, he was apparently on the yard in a California correctional institution at Tehachapi on Monday when another inmate stabbed him, according to sources, including one law enforcement. It's unclear what the motivation of the attack was, but one source tells us that Tory was rushed by an ambulance to a nearby civilian hospital in Bakersfield. Just by last week, Tory posted a picture of himself looking pretty buff behind bars and bragging his next album will be dropping soon. Where's that picture? Let me see if I can find the picture. Sorry. Tory Lanez. Oh my God. They trying to stab up the boy, huh? Oh my God. Tory been looking a little bit big right here. Pause, right? Yeah. Okay. So it says the artist serving a 10-year sentence at a California state prison for the 2020 stabbing of Meg Thee Stallion. Oh, not stabbing, shooting. I'm sorry. Of Meg Thee Stallion. Tory and Meg are battling each other in court. They're still battling each other in court. She's accusing him of enlisting various bloggers to continue to public smear and cyber stalk her. And we're told that Tory's stabbing injury is non-life threatening. I'm gonna hit Tory's people to see if I can get an update. I don't like putting people I don't like putting people like on the spot like this because I could call him. But I'm asking his team if we have a status update on him. I want to send my prayers to Tory. Tory is obviously, again, no matter how easy or how, he always seems happy when I speak to him. Tory is incarcerated. And yeah, like it's not all roses. Yeah, he's made an album. He still pops his shit. He's always been a very jovial, very proud, very resilient individual, but he's in jail at the end of the day. And him being in jail, actually not jail, but prison, you know what comes with that. There's a lot of bullshit. It's not the nicest place. And of course, shit, if you got niggas on the street that want to test you, somebody in jail gonna want to test you and look like maybe he was stabbed. It's good to know it was non-life threatening. Non-life threatening, that's very important. But it is a little bit concerning if he was actually rushed to a hospital. That's not a medical facility within the jail, because it shows that if they need a civilian or outside of jail hospital to deal with his injuries, we got to be thinking at minimum, maybe several stitches, maybe some, it could be, you never know. I don't want to speak some of these things into existence, but if, they have a medical facility, an ward at most prisons, usually they could treat abrasions, certain lacerations. This seems like it might be serious. However, we're getting told it's non-life threatening. Okay, keep touring your prayers, and as soon as I get an update, if I get an update this stream, I will let you guys know. Okay. His team did hit me. Okay, I think I'm safe to say this. Apparently, yes. So they're confirming something happened. They're not giving me much details, but they did say at this point they haven't spoken with him, and that's also concerning as well. So, as soon as his team gets a handle on the situation, speaks to Tory, confirms what's what, and they relay that to me, I will surely let you know. But it appears that maybe his team at this point, that they're not all the way in the know of exactly what's going on. And I would imagine maybe Tory's at the hospital right now. He doesn't have the liberty to call his people, right? So we're going to send our prayers with him, and hopefully I can give you an update before the end of the stream. All right? Tory, we love you. Cool. Let's get back to the Diddy.
Jermaine struggled for years with dental issues before finally finding Nuvia. Listen to what he wanted most after his smile.
They got me feeling like I'm Akademiks.
We wanted to give you a proper update on what's going on with Tory Lanez. Through his representatives and also his own Instagram page, they have now confirmed that Tory Lanez, who is in critical condition, he was airlifted to the hospital. An initial report were put out by a source from the prison. Apparently, they were trying to downplay the fact that Tory's injuries were pretty much life-threatening. And they're saying it's a miracle he survived this attack. Apparently, he was stabbed 14 times, 7 to the back, 4 to the torso, and 2 times to the head, and including 1 to the left cheek. He put out this on his own personal Instagram by saying Tory was stabbed 17 times, including, same thing he told us, right? 7 wounds to his back, 4 to his torso, 2 to the back of the head, and 1 to the side of his face. Both of his lungs has collapsed. He was placed on a breathing apparatus. He's now breathing on his own despite being in pain. He's talking normally. He's in good spirits and deeply thankful to God that he's pulling through. He also wants to thank everyone for their continued prayers and support. There was an audio that kind of came out that was trying to explain what happened. I don't know where this kind of came from.
Everybody, I'm here.
Hold on, give me 1 second. Tory Lanez stabbed. Let's see if we could play the content. Unfortunately, I hate using that word, content. By the way, there is a video of him being airlifted. Here's a video of him being airlifted to the hospital. So this is him being taken off of this chopper. So he was flown from, apparently his injuries were so serious, they flew him from the prison, right? Because the prison does have a medical ward, but they're not really trained to deal with deep lacerations and other things that might be, now we're hearing he had punctured lungs or collapsed lungs. They're not trained to deal with all of that. So essentially, they airlifted him to a civilian hospital, and this is him being taken out of the helicopter. Okay. Now, there's an audio. I want to get the full audio. Chat, where's this full audio from? By the way, look at some of the reports they're doing.
President Trump is opening his 4-day trip to the Saudi Arabia.
What the hell?
R&B singer, several victims
and rushed to a hospital.
and prostitution charges against him.
Rapper Tory Lanez was stabbed 14 times in a California prison and rushed to a hospital. Officials say that attack happened Monday morning at California's State Correctional Institution. Lanez is currently serving 10 years for shooting Megan Thee Stallion in 2020. His lungs collapsed after that attack, but his team says he's now breathing on his own and he's in good spirits. The motive for this attack is unclear. An investigation is now underway. Lanez's team thanked fans for their prayers and support.
Okay. I'll play this audio until I find the full thing.
This morning, brother, the next came out and bust on the boy Tory. You know, they airlifted him and all that. So, you know, no, that's gonna respond when we come off this shit. We're gonna respond the right way to that.
They laid the yard down.
No, it happened in the building.
What was it over? It was over some. What he had did he have a debt, a gambling debt or something?
Nah.
Now, the full call, I believe, I didn't even know this guy like blogs or streams. I heard from Wacky did. So, bro, Wack threw you, a little lifeline. A Spider Loke exclusive jail call from Tehachapi State Prison. Now, they're trying to say that it was Mexicans who stabbed Tory up. And apparently, there's a race war going on within the jail. So there's a race war going on, and it's Mexicans versus black. That's what they're trying to say. I don't know if this is true. We're getting this from, this is going to be an inmate talking to Spider Loke, kind of giving the breakdown on what the fuck happened, because I don't think they witnessed it, but, you know, obviously the prison's going to talk.
Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe.
Here we go.
Hello?
Hey, yeah, I'm ready.
All right, hold on. Welcome.
Yo, son. Hello.
My bad, Daddy. I was getting my car at the car wash.
All right, don't trip. Hey, you know the boy Tory Lanez just got hit up there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, by some Mexicans. I got some people up there calling me. I'm finna record their call. I'm gonna call you back.
All right.
Hello. 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 Shit, the fuck. Hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
What it do, cuz?
Yo, I hear you, bro.
What's Gucci?
What's cracking?
What it do, Five?
Shit, nothing much to look, right? This morning, brother, the next came out and bust on the boy Tory. You know, they airlifted him and all that. So, you know, no, that's gonna respond when we come off this shit. We're gonna respond the right way to that.
They laid the yard down.
No, it happened in the building.
What was it over? It was over some. What he had did he have a debt, a gambling debt or something?
Nah, nothing like that. Shit, we don't even really know. We don't even know the whole situation, you know.
So it was just like some foul play. So it's gonna be up.
Yeah, it's for sure with some foul play.
Damn, cuz. Wasn't nobody right there with him when it happened? Wasn't nobody right there with him when it went down?
Yeah, I guess nobody wasn't. He was by himself.
Atomic Gun, thank you for the 50. You didn't have a message with your donation, though. I appreciate you, brother. Send the message, bro.
Yeah, he got a whole tier full of necks. He on a whole tier full of necks.
Wow.
But you already know, once we get off this shit, we press some play on. We press play.
I'm already knowing. God damn. You don't know if he's gonna be all right or not either.
Nah, we don't know yet. He's gonna be all right, though. He's gonna pull through, though.
That's right. That's crazy because I've been out here. I've been the whole time he's been going through what he's been going through. I've been feeling like that nigga got railroaded. I hate to see him in that position. I'm glad.
Man, for sure, he got railroaded.
Yeah, he got railroaded. I'm glad that
That's an innocent man in prison, bro.
I believe it, 100%. How he been programming in it? He been programming cool.
Man, all he do is program, come outside, work out, play ball, do him.
That's right. I heard it's been cracking up there too. It was a riot the other day, not too long ago.
Yeah, it was I want to say 3 weeks ago, it was a riot.
Yeah, I got.
2 weeks.
You been straight though?
Yeah, it be cracking up here. Yeah, I been straight. You know me, keeping my head up high. I got 4 months left.
As you should. As you should.
I be out there.
You gotta tap in, come through the black box when you get out here, man.
I got you. I'm gonna fill up at the mailbox and all that. Is good.
They will. Good. I'm finna.
You know, NH, fool.
I'm finna get this shit out to the people. Let them know Tory Lanez all right, but he went through something, and I'm glad you tapped in, cuz. Good looking.
Yeah, you already know. You already know. Straight up, it's all love.
Dev dope. Good looking, Dex.
Yeah, no doubt. Nigga, I'm gonna get you the content as soon as I get it.
All right, cuz.
I love West Coast niggas, man. All right, cuz. On Paru content. The on Paru content is diabolical.
And none of you niggas.
Okay. All right. So we're hearing that there might be like some race war kind of brewing. Don't know fully what the hell is going on, but man, our prayers definitely go out to Tory Lanez. It looks like he is speaking. Looks like he's going to pull through. However, this, you know, if they stabbed him in his face, we're not getting a description on what they stabbed him with, but clearly it was enough for him to get airlifted to a civilian hospital, and nothing that they felt they could take care of by just being in the jail facility. Maconio, thank you for the 2. He says, "Yo, love you, Ak. What up with you?" Okay. God damn. Someone says, "Call is the corniest in the county." What? What are you talking about?
They got me feeling like I'm Akademiks.
People who work for us do outside a job. So that's her own personal view. Okay? She had the right to speak as a woman. So they talking about Shorty, the Treasure Wilson, and to receive her own consequences alone for her actions. Next time I'd ask you, give me a call if you're gonna hold me accountable. All right. So I never seen this. So I never seen this. I'll tell you what I'm typing. I'm typing some shit to them.
You made it to the end. Now make it official. Subscribe to Giziano where the best keeps getting better.